Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to Radio Toni Everyday Business. I'm your host, Toni Lontis, and we have an amazing guest to speak to today. Her name is Ali Levine. And before I introduce you to you all, I want to tell you a little bit about Ali. Ali was born and raised in New York, and she's worked with some of the biggest names in the fashion industry, including Fragments, Coach, Talbot, and Target as part of development and design. Ali relocated to Los Angeles, California, where she fell head over heels in love with wardrobe styling. She's an expert at it when it comes to creating looks for her celebrity clients. From the red carpet appearances, music videos, to world tours, Ali has a unique thumbprint that displays her talent and fashion styles. Ali's New York persona took the limelight when she recently appeared with her husband in Bravo's hit show, Stripped. As a TV correspondent, she covered the red carpet events for Celebrity Page TV and makes regular national to local TV experiences promoting herself and her brand. From Home and Family to KTLA to Nightline, Ali's vibrant personality lights up the red carpet and her TV appearances. After Ali's recent birth of a daughter, Amelia Ray, Ali has transitioned into a mompreneur and mummy influencer across the board, belonging to a sought-after mummy group such as Hey Mama, Fashion Mamas, and Millennial Mamas. Her fashion sense plus real life day-to-day inspires many who follow her and cover her. I'm delighted to have Ali on the show today. And Ali is actually in the middle of a move from California to Tennessee. And I'm particularly grateful to have her live from her in-laws' bedroom with us today. Welcome to the show, Ali.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Toni. Thank you for that amazing intro. It was nice to hear.
It's rare as entrepreneurs that we actually reflect on how far we've come and what we've actually
Yeah.
done. Do you find that? Do you sometimes have to go, actually, I'm okay, done this, and this?
I love that you said that because I think I really, before the pandemic, was really bad about that. And I was always on to like the next thing, the next thing. It was like, oh, what else can I achieve? Oh, what else can I do? Where else can I get featured? What else did it? What else? What else? What else? And then the pandemic hit, and obviously all of our lives were shaken up. And I think for me, when I really started to sit with myself and there was really nothing to do, like as far as work was concerned, or at least for the first few months, I really sat with myself and started going through those accomplishments and was like, wow, I never really acknowledged that I was featured here or that this client got this or that happened. And you're right. It's so important as entrepreneurs, no matter what you're doing, to reflect and be like, wow, I hit this goal, big or small, or this happened for me, or, this was a monumental moment in my career. Like we really don't, as entrepreneurs, give ourselves that much credit. So now I'm really trying in this present time to really be not only present, but to, like you said, to really reflect. So it was nice sitting here when you were reading that. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, yeah, that's you I'm talking about. And Ali, things change when you have children, don't they? Your
Oh yeah.
world shifts and pivots. So, amongst all of the things that have been happening for you in the last little while, how has motherhood impacted on your business and the way that you look at life?
Yeah, it's a great question. So yeah, so I'm a mom of two now because I know in my
Mm,
bio is in my first daughter, and I had
yeah,
Arlie, my second, during the pandemic. She was born. So
yeah.
having a baby during the pandemic is a whole nother world. And it's funny when I first became a mom, a new mom to Amelia. I feel like I really put so much pressure on myself to
Oh,
like
yeah.
do everything, and I must get this done, or I'm a bad mom, and I must get this done with my business, or I'm a terrible, entrepreneur and CEO, and
Yeah,
all these like limiting beliefs that I was telling myself. And I was really having a really hard time. I went to postpartum depression with my first daughter. I think a lot
yeah.
of that was contributed from me putting so much pressure on myself. And fast forward to going from that, where I could barely get any work done, I was just constantly like belittling myself and telling
Oh,
myself things
yeah.
I shouldn't have told myself, being horrible to myself. and just being honestly like disappointed in myself all the time. I went to then having, my second daughter. And I
Yeah.
think especially because of being pregnant during the pandemic, giving birth during the pandemic,
Mm.
all those things really brought me to a place of presence, right? And being
Yes.
present in every now moment and realizing like, wow, okay, I really need to pay attention to what's going on right this minute. And with my pregnancy, with my birth, and really becoming present to being a mom of two,
Yes.
to two girls. And I think that, in having those reflections and being so present, it actually made me a much stronger and better, I believe, entrepreneur and CEO of my business.
Absolutely.
I now really prioritize, like, my girls are everything, and
Yes.
not that my first daughter wasn't, but I just wasn't in a space to give myself that kind of space to say, this is way, way more important. This is your priority. And I was just always going back and forth of like, well, I'm giving her all my attention, but then this client's mad at me, or I'm doing this
Yes.
and I'm doing that. And then when my second daughter came and the pandemic happened and everything happened, it was like, draw your boundaries, get focused, get present. And my life changed completely. And it was hard at first to do that because
Oh,
everybody's
yeah.
looking at me like, what happened to her? Like, why is she not available? And why is she being so, quote unquote weird or off or whatever? And it was like, no, I'm not. I'm not acting a certain way. Like, this is now me shifting. This is me now
Yes.
changing
Yes.
because of my situation, and making my girls the priority and making my family truly, top of the list of my husband and everything
Yes.
else, and being like, this is most important.
Yes.
Everything else, falls, behind it. And I think, yeah, we also have these limiting beliefs, right? In my opinion, where
Oh,
we're
yes.
told by outside society and we're told by all those different programs around us that like it's a rat race. We must do this, we must do that. But then when you actually get your priorities in line and you actually say, like for me, it's like God, my husband, my daughters, family, and then it's like everything else. And
Yes.
now that I've made that shift, I feel like I'm way more successful for so many different reasons. And I'm way
Yes.
more aware of my priorities, and I don't make myself like insane with trying to get every single thing done every single
Mm.
day. And so I think in answering your question, like, I think that for me, one, I had to get really present. And I now am very aware of like being present and present in the
Yes.
moment and being, very involved with the girls when it's their time. And when it's work time, it's like very focused and like not looking all over the place, like getting my work done because I know I have that small window. And then like family time and even
Yes.
me time and self time. That was something I learned during the pandemic, was how much I had to love of myself and like really work on Alie, and I think
Yes.
I neglected that for years. And so I think that, a lot of that all kind of came together, and then the
Mm.
priorities and like, even now, it's like I would get a few things done and then I know like that's it. I'm not going to sit there and get those 15
Yes.
things done on my list that I really wanted to do,
Yes.
unless I'm going to kill myself that week to get it done because I have other things going on with my family and my
Yes.
daughters and this, that, and the other thing. And it's life, right? And I think that too, with the pandemic, we've now started to be
Mm.
given, we feel like more permission to
Yes.
be real about life and to say, I've got this going on or I've got that going on,
Yes.
and be looked at, each of us look at each other in a more vulnerable light and say, it's okay, it's fine, we'll make it work or we'll reschedule. It's interesting. I'd be interested to hear from you, Toni. Like, I feel like that obviously always existed, but because of
Yes.
what we all went through, it shifted all of us in a whole
Agree.
different level where now it's like become an acceptance and it's no longer like where it was questionable and like, even
Yes.
even with being a mom, right? Like I
Yes.
realized I wasn't hiding being a mom, but I was like not being very forward with certain
Yes.
people about like, well, I have my daughters and I'm breastfeeding, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. It was
Yes.
like I'm just doing it all and juggling and exhausted. Now I'm like, well, my toddler's here next to me. I'm nursing my baby, but I can take this call real quick with you, but I've got this and this going on. And it's like the transparency. And to be honest, like I
Absolutely.
love it.
Yes.
I think it's so much healthier. And
Absolutely.
it
It's
shifted my priorities greatly, like greatly.
yeah. Because I my kids are in their 30s, so it's and you never stop being a mum, but it changes the way that you look at the world, and it changes the way you think about the world. And I'm very passionate about working mums. I had to work through my children's when they were young. They went to daycare, etc., etc. We undervalue the work and the impact that motherhood makes to the universe. And I think that we need to
Yeah.
value that. And I kudos to you for making
Thank
yourself
you.
present as a mum, because
Thank
I think that we should celebrate our young mums. We should lift them up. We should
you.
support
Yes.
them. We should encourage them. We should love them, and we should allow them to be present with their kids when they need to be. Because it goes
Yes, amen. I love that you
right.
said that. Yes, it's so
So
true. And I
quickly.
love you said it work, with moms too, because it's true. It's like moms need so much more support. They need to be told it's okay to
Yeah,
be a mess because you're
yeah,
handling your child or your baby or whatever it may be, and be given that encouragement and that
absolutely.
grace. All
Yes,
those things, like they're
grace.
not just words, like yes, grace especially. Oh my gosh, that was something
Yeah,
I had to learn and constantly to check in with myself and give myself that grace and be like,
yes,
okay, it's just not all going to happen today, but it's okay. And you're right too. When you look at the world differently, massively. I mean, I
yes,
look at everything differently. I look at everyone differently.
yeah,
It's just because now you have your own world, right? And they're your
yeah,
world and they're, your family and everything. And so not only do you do everything to protect them, but you're also going to look at everything of what can affect them, what's going to
yeah,
change this, what's going to change that, and you work around it to make sure that they're the center.
yeah. Ali, I'm curious to know, um, your your business is around styling, so I'm curious to know, has your style and your thoughts on style changed as you progressed through your motherhood journey? You're obviously still uniquely Ali and Alie Levine, but have elements of what you recommend and do for your clients, has that changed?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I think that for the first time,
Mhm.
after I struggled with my own, bounce back, my body didn't bounce back, and
No,
I had
and
a,
it never
you know,
happens.
not at all. Not at all. No, never. Like, and that was like such a hard thing for me with
Oh
with
god,
just
yes.
ego and comparison and because I would stare at all these people online and be like,
Yeah,
but why her body this and the
yeah.
other thing. And it was so hard for me. But I
Oh,
think it
yeah.
humbled me in such a way too, because then when I started working with clients that were struggling with their body, even if it wasn't because they became a mom, but just because they were having body struggles,
Yeah,
I understood it more. I always had empathy and I was always
yeah, yeah,
understanding, but it
yeah,
was a new level
yeah,
of being like, okay, you're not comfortable in this. Let's find you something that you're, even more confident in. And
yeah,
let's find you some shapewear that makes you feel better about,
yeah,
what you're doing and what you're wearing. And
yeah,
I think it just brought me to a new level of vulnerability with my clients
yeah,
because of what I had experienced and I was able to relate to them more.
yeah,
And they felt that too. It also brought in a shift of older women to me and women that
yeah,
also had children recently, new moms, and really changed up my clientele as well
yeah,
because of that vulnerability, because of that relatability that we had. Whereas
yeah,
before, 20-year-old Ali was
yeah,
super skinny, eat whatever she wanted, didn't care. I mean, being real, I mean, like I had a totally different body and I had all day long to get little
yes,
tucks and this and the other thing, Botox, the whole 9 yards. And,
yeah,
when being a new mom, like that
yeah,
all went out the
yeah,
window. I'm lucky if I can get this together. You know what I mean? Like it was just like, okay, like hold the phone.
yeah,
So I think that realness and that humbling
yeah,
definitely changed the
yeah,
way I viewed all my clients' bodies and how they would have their struggles, helping them find confidence even further, helping them work through what they were going through inside and out. That became a really big part and still is to me of, when I'm getting people ready. Because I always say confidence is your best accessory.
I was just
But
gonna
I think,
ask, Ali,
yeah,
the you can style someone beautifully, but without that confidence. And the confidence comes from the feel and the look and how you feel in
yes,
your
the
clothes.
energy within them, how
Yeah,
they feel, yes,
yeah,
and you can't make that up.
no,
And I can't give that to you. I learned that over the years as I was getting people ready and as I was, I
yeah,
would see someone in a stunning gown and
yes,
gorgeous diamonds, hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they would
yeah,
just be standing there, and I'd be like, "What's going on? Like, you look freaking beautiful. Like, what's
yeah,
happening?" And because they didn't feel it, you could see the outfit was wearing them. You could see the gown was weighing them down, that they
mm,
felt shrink down. And it's an energy, it's a feeling, it really
Yeah.
transmutes. And that's what I always say, like, I transform you from the inside out with that confidence. And I'm very aware of that, especially now, because I
Yeah.
lost my own confidence when I became a
Yes.
mom and looked at my new body, like, what is going on? How am I going to dress myself? And so I think that vulnerability again definitely shifted in
Yeah.
how I would style, and also opened my eyes up to other types of styles and other types of fabrics and different things that I just wasn't looking at because it wasn't my
Mm,
reality.
mm. Sally, if you've got someone really important dressing and styling them for a big event, and you look at them and they're in that beautiful gown and all those diamonds, and you sense that the energy is not right, what do you do in that instance? Is there a little Ali special thing that you do that tries to transform that situation for them?
Yeah, I love this question. Okay, so well, a few things. So first
Yeah.
off, like when I get them in it, like I have them look at themselves in the mirror, and I'm like, okay, like let's talk about how you feel, and it's like be really honest. Like, how are you feeling on a scale of 1 to 10?
Yes.
What is this doing for you? And it's funny. Sometimes they're so nervous about being honest, and they're like,
Yeah.
and I'm like, no, tell me, like, what. And
Yeah.
so then, all right, well, maybe I feel like a 4 or 5. I'm like, all right, well, how do we get you to a 10? Like, what is it?
Mm,
Well, I feel like over here on my side, this is not looking as nice, and so I get them in the mirror, and I'm like, all right,
yes.
let's just imagine right this minute, like everything has been, nip tuck, this, that, the other thing, everything like looks amazing. You feel like you look amazing, you feel amazing. Now, would you say, you're feeling like a 10? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, okay, so now envision that. Put that in
Yes.
your mind, like bring yourself to that moment. Feel that energy within you of what that feels like, of what that confidence brings to you. And then when you feel it, then like hold on to it. And then
Yes.
while we're like kind of tucking or changing little things about the outfit or whatever needs to be
Yes.
changed to get to that feeling,
Yes.
then once it's changed, I want to make sure you tap into that and you actually feel that and that resonates and you say, okay, yes, this has all come together and I feel good. And of course, I tell them to sometimes, it's different accessories to change and
Yeah.
add on depending if it feels heavy to them, what their style is. Sometimes it's a different type of shoe if it makes them look
Yeah.
more slender, if a way it
Mhm.
cuts them. There's
Yeah.
all different little tweaks and tips. But
Yeah.
for me, it really does start with the energy and the feeling before we even get into worrying about the rest of the,
Yeah.
details, there, icing on the cake and all the little things that can be tweaked. These are all things that can be added. We got to start with how you're feeling, what you're aware of before we get into anything else.
I'm so glad to hear that because lots of stylists, they're just focused on the overall look, and it's so refreshing to know that you are tapping intuitively into their energy and their spirit as well. That's a powerful gift to give to your clients. Wonderful and fantastic to hear.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that because it's
Yeah.
funny, being a Hollywood stylist for many
Yeah.
years, I would get criticized all the time by agents and
Yes.
managers and, whatever cook in the kitchen, just constantly, oh, just put them in this. It's fabulous. And this dress is, this, that, and the other thing. And it's
Yeah.
sexy.
Yeah.
I'm like, but they don't like it. It doesn't
Yeah.
look, they don't feel it looks good on them. I understand it's a trend. I understand this is the hottest thing. I understand that this designer has this and it's sponsored and this everybody can make money and all these things, but they don't feel good in it. And I'm not
Yeah.
doing my job if
Yeah.
they walk out and they're slink down and
Yeah.
are not confident. Like I don't feel good walking away and going, oh well, she looks amazing because the dress is, freaking, $1 million, like, example. And but they're standing there and they look like, I don't know, $1 because they're just
Yeah.
like, oh, but I don't feel good in it, it's uncomfortable, or it's this, it's that. And you can see it, like one of my
Yeah.
favorite examples to talk about is Holly Robinson Peete. When I dressed her, I was
Mhm.
dressing her for quite some time. When I dressed her for the BT Awards,
Mhm.
and her manager, her agent, they all were like, just put her in this sexy black, fitted number. She's 50. She needs to look sexy. She needs to have this
Mhm.
appeal, have that appeal, da, 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 on and on, all these things. And I'm like, all right. I'm like, half listening because I was like, well, I always got in trouble because I'd half listen to these
Yeah.
managers. But my intuitively, like I was like in tune with like what I knew,
Yes.
what I felt. and what I saw in my vision of looking at them to get them dressed, as well as what I would pick up when I would talk to them and what I could feel. And so I turned to her and I'm like, do you really want to wear black for this? Like, it's BT Awards. You and your whole family are going, dressing your husband in like a purple suit. Your son's going in a burgundy suit. The girls are going in pink. Like, really want to wear black, and she's like, I don't know, like everyone wants to make sure I'm safe but sexy, and this is a big deal. I finally convinced her to wear this like peach gorgeous Elsa Ferretti gown, and it was like off the shoulder, just stunning, like super like yummy, I want to say like creamsicle colored like peach, gown, off the shoulder, ruffled, just to paint a picture, dressed, hangs to the end, A-line, beautifully fitted, sexy, but more classic, not necessarily like crazy sexy, stunning nude heel that had some, pretty little details on it and some studs, and, just really, really pretty. And then also for a cocktail, pre-party dress, same color, but, beautiful jeweled neckline, cape shoulder, like detail, just really, really beautiful, different. Well, let me tell you, first off, everyone gave me the hardest time, and her PR, her manager, everyone wanted to fire me. Everybody was pissed. And the best part was that night she walked the carpet, and not only like did she rock it and look great, she got best dressed everywhere, everywhere. I mean, everywhere. Like I was shocked, honestly. I mean, I knew she looked good, but like she got noticed everywhere. International news, US, like I mean, just everywhere. And and not only did she get that, but she had people writing her up and saying, oh my God, she's 50. I didn't even know she was 50. Look how amazing she looks. She booked all new roles. She got brand new shows. I mean, it transformed so much for her. And it just showed me in that moment that, one, I always have into my intuition. I know that that's always where we all need to do, even though we're told not to. That's the best thing we can do. And two, for me as a stylist, I knew I had followed what she was feeling, what I knew was going to resonate, what was going to look good, that she had the energy and the confidence when she put it on, even though she was a little nervous because she wasn't thinking she was going to wear that color. She was a little nervous because everybody around her was telling her to do something else. She had the confidence. I saw it when she put it on. I saw the moment it clicked in her head. I felt the energy, and I was like, she's going to rock this. And she did. In every picture you could see she was feeling herself. She was stunning. And to this day, I still get chills because I'm like, to me, that's a stylist job. I know every stylist doesn't agree with me. I've had so many conversations with stylists who are like, no, my job is for them to be on trend. No, my job is for, to put them in the hottest this and that. I'm supposed to put them in something controversial. The list goes on. For me, it's like, no. I tap into the energy. I find their confidence. I find what works for them. I get them outside of their box, but not so far out that they're uncomfortable, but that like happy medium. And that's how we create magic. And I have seen it over and over again with my clients. And that was one of my favorite stories, because watching her come to life was just like, holy crap. I mean, everybody was just like, oh my God, best dressed everywhere. And she's 50. Like, it was like everybody couldn't believe she was 50. Because let me tell you, Toni, she did not look 50.
And she was really comfortable and confident. Like, that's what I'm hearing from you, that the people around the celebrities that you dress don't always get the essence of the person that they're supposed to be looking after. That's an intuitive thing, Alie. Intuition, is deeply entrenched in women, and we are told from a young age often not to listen or pay attention to that intuition.
Not to listen, not to trust it. Yes, that's right.
On, isn't it, Alie?
Interesting. Yes. I feel like my entire life I was told that, until like maybe I got to be a little bit older, and all of a sudden, like, then it was like, oh no, if you have a gut feeling, then you should go with it. But I was like, oh, but in school and everybody around me was like, don't listen to it, pay attention to this. And now, in my late 30s, I'm like, oh, well, no, intuition is everything, and that gut feeling is everything. And that's what I go by for anything, like anything, whether it's work, whether it's my daughters, my husband, my family, it doesn't matter. Whatever it is, that's what I go by. And some people are like, that's kind of crazy. There's no logic. And I'm like, I don't need logic. I trust within.
Alie, one other question I wanted to talk about related to the pandemic, and I'm wondering what sort of changes you had to implement in your styling business to facilitate that connection with people. So does it mean consulting over Zoom? What does that look like for you?
Yeah. Great question. So at first, I mean, the world obviously just stopped for everybody.
Yes,
So at first, it was just very much like, okay, I'm going to update my website and I'm just going to do all the tedious things
yes,
I wasn't doing for my tax documents, all things I like wasn't
yes.
doing before. So that started with that. And then I started realizing that I was already doing some remote stuff,
Yeah,
just because I'm on a couple different cool apps like Style Life and Comey and some other
yes,
different fashion apps that let me be like a stylist remotely all over the world, which has been incredible. But
yes.
that really opened up when the pandemic hit because people were realizing like, oh shit, excuse me, I
Yeah.
have to get on Zoom, and I have to look good still. But like I've been in
Mm,
my pajamas for months and like I don't feel
yeah,
good because I've been cooped up and in fear and this, that, and the other
yes.
thing. And now I gotta show up and act like, oh hey, here I am. And so that's where all of a sudden I started noticing the shift and people are like, hey, I just need help looking good, like, from chest up. I just need help getting myself together. So I started doing simple consults on Zoom and FaceTime and Skype,
Oh, yes,
helping people get their stuff together,
yes,
helping people feel confident, just getting on with them for, 15, 30 minutes, having just a confidence consultation of like,
yes.
what are you not confident? Where do you feel like you lost your confidence since everything is hit with this pandemic? What do we need to work on? What colors make you feel happy? People don't realize, again, we talk about energy. Colors
Mm,
have a huge
absolutely.
part of carrying energy. What lights you up when you put something on, if there's a certain lipstick, if there's a certain accessory, those things you really got to think about. And also like what's going to pop on Zoom or on,
Yes.
whatever remotely, like what's going to show up. Like I purposely wore this knowing like
I
it would,
know. I've been
pop on
wanting to ask
camera,
you about that, Ali. That was one of my last questions. I
Isn't
need to
it
ask you
cute?
about it. It's gorgeous. Gorgeous.
Thank you. But it's like, but I had these types of consultations of like,
Yes.
okay, what do we have? And then also too, like a lot of people were nervous because they're like, well, I'm on a budget because obviously the pandemic. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, no worries. Like we can ball out a budget. Let's go through your closet. Let's see what you
Yeah.
have to work with first.
Yeah.
Let's get your stuff together and do a consult of your closet. And then we can,
Yeah.
I say, audit your closet and
Yes.
decide, let's keep this. Let's see if we can bring this back to life and refresh it. And guess what? If it's sitting in your closet, it's been sitting there since the beginning of the pandemic. It's not going to change.
Yes.
Get rid of it. It's dead
Yes.
weight energy that's just sitting around. See ya.
Yes.
And so a lot of those conversations happened with my clients and new clients that I was getting, still am.
Yes.
And so a lot of that, I think a lot has also been to helping people just find new styles, how to,
Yeah.
build out new styles and feel
Yeah.
confident in them since they are changing jobs, changing locations. Maybe they're
Mhm.
working from home, changing up that, we all have been comfortable before. I know
Yes.
I've been several times. And when you get comfortable, you don't want to venture out. Same being comfortable in your
Mm.
pajamas when everything was
Yes.
going on. So helping people get out of that comfort zone and
Yeah.
still finding that confidence has been a huge shift in my business. That was not something that was really something I was doing very often, but now I'm
Yeah.
really enjoying helping people. And
Yes.
then to helping them shop online, like, hey, I just want to get a few things. This is my budget, and just helping them like, hey, here's a few great stores. Here's a
Yes.
few great things you can check out. Here's how to shop for them, and just helping them put stuff together that way. So I've had a lot of shifts in the business that way,
Yes.
and it continues to. I continue
Yes.
to learn how else to help different clients, especially new ones. Like I've been doing master classes, which I was never doing before, which is so much fun. Style Life has me doing all these fun wedding bridal classes together, and we're doing like body shape, and it's been awesome. I have another one coming up on the 22nd this month, and we just did one at
Yes.
the beginning of this month, and it's been so much fun to get to connect with like 10 to 20 incredible
Yes.
women who want, help with their body shape or
Mm.
want help with figuring out what they should do with their wedding dress and, getting themselves together and
Mm.
mood boards and just different things that I've had all these skills in doing, but I never
Yes.
thought I was maybe going to be teaching and explaining and, getting to do. So it's been fun. It's been a lot of shifting and pivoting, but I'm enjoying it.
Yeah. One of the other questions I wanted to ask was around supplies and getting the clothes that to the clients, or
Yes.
being able to view the clothes to dress your clients. Has that been a struggle, or has it all just simply moved online?
So in the beginning, it was a little bit of a struggle, to be honest. In the
Yeah.
beginning, it was like people were not really getting it. It was like, hey, this needs to be shipped here, and then this was
Yeah.
late, and then
Yeah.
hey, this is the wrong size. There was a lot of
Yeah.
hiccups, and it was like, ooh, this is gonna be intense. And it was like I was getting real stressed.
Yeah.
But then, like everything else, we all adapt
Yeah.
as we always do as humans. And so everyone started figuring out, okay, you know what? I will go to the office, you know, being that I run this showroom, and I will do
Yeah.
the polls for you, and you can pick virtually what you want, and I'll get it together for you, and I'll have it sent out. Or I will go deliver it safely
Yeah.
because I know what you're
Yeah.
asking for. And so they started be more tweaking and this and that.
Yeah.
And there's still, of course, a learning curve, even for
Oh,
me.
yes.
But luckily, most designers, most showrooms, most people have been like, hey, we've got stuff virtual, we can ship. Oh, you got a client, you know, over the seas, no big deal.
Yeah.
We can ship it to them. Like, you know, like people are working around much, much more. Before it was like
Fantastic.
way more thing. Like when I was getting people ready for like cans, it was like,
Yeah.
no, 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 have them get ready in LA before, don't send it to Paris, don't do this. And then I was like, oh my gosh, but they're already there. This is so stressful. Now it's becoming more of like the norm. Like, okay,
Good.
people are everywhere, people are remote, and so it's working. So, you know, again, I think it's going to continue to evolve and
Yeah.
change, but I
Yeah.
do think there's a lot of virtual changes that would be really cool in general for fashion. I mean, you're even seeing fashion shows virtually online right now. I think it's going to stay that way, to be honest. I don't
Yeah.
see,
But there's
even
some
with the
really good
world
things.
opening up,
Yeah.
I think that this has been a good thing for a lot of people accessing all different things, seeing different things.
Mm.
I think it's going to stay in a lot of
Yeah.
ways.
Yeah. I don't see us going back to the normal that it was before the pandemic. I think that we will just adjust
Yeah.
and you know,
Yeah. Well, and like, when you were talking about in the beginning of this, of just like how things shifted and this and that, in
yeah.
a way, like, was it ever really normal? Or were we
Yeah.
all just kind of, in my opinion, like on a grind that just never
Yeah.
ended, that we were all so unaware
Yeah.
of, and like at least me, so asleep to just doing whatever and grinding and
Yeah.
never stopping. And now it's like
We
so
have
many
that
are so
pause.
present.
Yeah.
Yes, that
It's
pause.
good.
Yes. You
Really
know,
good
and
for
now we're so
humanity.
present in that pause.
Mm, mm,
I agree. So good for humanity. And I think we're
yeah.
going to continue to see that shift.
Mm,
Yeah.
absolutely. Ali, I'm conscious that I need to get you off and onto another call, but for those listeners and watchers today, how is the best way to connect with you and your gorgeousness?
Oh, you're so sweet. Well, thank you so much for having me. I was so honored. And I can't wait to have you on my podcast. So I have a podcast, Everything with Alie Levine.
Yes,
And anywhere you listen to a podcast, you can find my show.
yes,
It's everything super real and raw, helping others really be inspired and empowered and sharing their real, raw truths. And we talk a lot about being conscious and
yeah,
energy and a lot of that just in all realms of life.
mm,
My website is alielevine.com. I recently have been working on revamping during the pandemic. So in the next week, I'll be launching all new stuff and just updates and virtual. And I'm very
how
excited to
exciting.
share that. Yeah, very excited. And my social media is Alie Levine Design, ALILEVINE Design, no S. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, TikTok, all
All of
YouTube,
them.
all the platforms. I am most on Instagram, but I
Yes,
do jump on Twitter to jump on and send some tweets and things. I do pin on Pinterest. I try to do
yes.
some fun things on TikTok. If this resonates with you, please feel free to reach out. I'd love to build my community. I love to meet amazing people. So if there is something that we said and shared, please DM me.
Absolutely.
Let me know you found me from Toni's radio show, and say hello.
And if you're listening to this today and watching this today, all the links to all of Alie's social media, her website, her email, everything will be below in the video and also across my websites when we send this interview live. Alie Levine, it's been an absolute delight to have you today. I'm
Oh,
very
same
appreciative for
to you.
your
Thank you
time.
so much for having me.
It's a real delight to talk to such a wonderfully inspiring young woman on the show today. That, my listeners, is your lot for this week. We will be back next week with another show.